What would you do if, on a quiet evening, just as you're enjoying your peace, your ex-husband and his mother suddenly showed up at your door, loaded with bags, arrogance, and entitlement, demanding to move back into your home as if they still owned it? The evening was peaceful. I sat with a cup of hot tea, listening to the rain outside. My apartment was warm, clean, and quiet, just the way I had dreamed. But life has a way of testing the peace we build. That night, a knock at the door changed everything. And with it came the ghosts of my past, demanding to take back a life that no longer belonged to them. But what they didn't know was that I was no longer the same woman they thought they could control. The rain tapped gently against the window. In my hands, a mug of steaming tea warmed my fingers, and the scent of chamomile filled the air. The apartment was spotless, organized, and radiating peace. The kind of peace I had fought for. The kind of peace I had built with my own hands after years of chaos. This was my sanctuary, my own world. And in that moment, I felt proud of myself. For once, I wasn't living in someone else's shadow, answering to someone else's rules, or shrinking under someone else's criticism. I was free. But freedom is something toxic people cannot stand. And just when you think they are gone forever, they return. That night, the sharp ring of the doorbell tore through the silence. It wasn't a casual knock. It was loud, demanding. The kind of sound that says, "We belong here." My heart skipped. A strange unease filled my chest as I walked to the door. And when I opened it, my past came flooding back. On the doorstep stood two figures I thought I had left behind for good, my ex-husband and his mother. Their arms were loaded with bags, suitcases, and plastic sacks, as though they were moving in. My ex-husband wore that same smug smile I had seen too many times before. He didn't wait for an invitation. He didn't ask. He simply stepped forward, trying to cross the threshold of my home as if nothing had changed. "Well, darling," he said casually, "we're back. After all, half of this place is mine." Beside him, his mother adjusted the scarf on her head and gave me a look full of contempt. Her voice dripped with arrogance as she added, "Without us, you're nothing. You should be grateful we came back before it was too late. Don't thank us. Just move your things out of the room. We'll take it from here." They thought I was still the same woman who once let them control every corner of her life. But they had no idea how much I had changed. I stepped aside, my face calm, my lips curled into a slight, ironic smile. They mistook my silence for weakness. Dragging their bags across the floor, they stormed inside. My ex dropped onto the sofa with a sigh, spreading himself out like a king on his throne. "We'll stay here," he declared. "I'll start fixing up the bedroom. In the meantime, make sure the food is decent. You know how I like it." His mother paraded around the apartment as though she owned it, opening cupboards, inspecting shelves, judging everything. "Humph," she muttered, "you rearranged everything. But we'll get used to it. We always do." Their laughter, their loud voices, the stench of their cheap cigarettes. Within minutes, they had poisoned the peace I had built so carefully. But I remained silent, on the surface, cold and calm. Inside, the fire of rage and justice was already burning. I let them perform their little theater, acting as though they had reclaimed what was theirs. And when the moment was right, I spoke. "All right," I said evenly, "since you've returned, there's something you need to see." I walked to the table, picked up the folder I had prepared days ago, and handed it to him. He took it lazily, expecting nonsense he could brush aside. But as his eyes scanned the first lines, his smirk collapsed. His face twisted, pale, and red all at once. His hands began to shake. This can't be," he stuttered. His mother snatched the papers from his grip, her eyes racing over the pages until her own face drained of color. She screamed, "Forgery! You fabricated all this," and threw the folder onto the table. But I stepped closer, my gaze cold as ice. This is a court seal. A legal ruling. The apartment is mine. Entirely mine. And because of your debts, your share is gone. You have nothing here. Nothing. The silence that followed was heavier than any scream. My ex's face turned crimson. He slammed his fist on the table, but his trembling hands betrayed him. He knew the truth. There was no fighting this. His mother's insults rang hollow. Their authority was gone. All that remained were their bags and their shame. I walked to the door, pulled it wide open, and let the cold draft sweep the room. Take your things, I said calmly, and leave. Otherwise, it won't be my words escorting you out, but the police. And as if on cue, the officer I had warned in advance stepped inside. His sharp eyes fell on them, his voice firm. So, will you leave voluntarily, or shall I enforce the law? Their arrogance collapsed into chaos. My ex cursed under his breath, struggling with the suitcases that wouldn't close. His mother stumbled, bags tearing, clothes spilling across the floor. They scrambled, clumsy, desperate, no longer rulers, just intruders exposed. Moments later, they were out, on their knees in the hallway, dragging their broken pride with their baggage. Humiliated, defeated, gone. I closed the door, locked it. For the first time in years, the apartment was truly mine. Silent, peaceful, free. The rain still whispered outside, but inside, I breathed deeper than I ever had before. My chest expanded, my heart steady. This wasn't just a home anymore. It was my victory. And as I sipped my tea again, I smiled, not bitterly, not with malice, but with strength. Their time in my life was over, and mine had just begun. If you've ever been forced down, silenced, or made to feel like you're nothing, remember this: strength grows quietly, and when the moment comes, you will rise. This was my story of betrayal, survival, and victory. If it touched your heart, please like this video, subscribe for more stories, and share it with someone who needs to hear that they too can reclaim their life. Thank you for being here. And remember, you are stronger than you think.